Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Ninda Handayani. I'm from the English Language Study Program Class A in 2024 with ID number 2402110015. Now I'm gonna read the journal with the title Grammar Instruction in Communicative Language Teaching Classroom, Student-Teacher Perceptions. The aim of this study was to find out the teachers' and students' perception toward grammar instruction in communicative language teaching classroom. The participants of the study were 2 teachers and 4 students from an Islamic junior high school or madrasa. We used a case study method to conduct this research to identify teacher and student perception in teaching and learning grammar instruction in communicative language teaching classroom. The data were collected by using interviews. The data were analyzed by using thematic analysis. The findings indicated that there were 5 indicators on student-teachers' perception. Grammar was a crucial component in improving English skills, using classroom activities to promote communicative activities in the classroom. Error correction was seen as one of process to create students in mastering material. Teaching grammar instruction in CLT classroom, teacher act as motivator and facilitate all student needs. Students should take part on the process of learning. Grammar is the language framework and system of meaning. Every language seems to have a grammar, and persons speaking in similar language will communicate because they naturally understand the grammar structure, which is the rules of meaning. According to Boston, language without grammar is going to be messy, and it is harder to understand language without looking for this basic framework. So grammar language will be impossible to learn effectively without following structural rule. They found that grammar plays a very important role in the study of language. The purpose of grammar is to educate those who use English to express they talk properly both in speaking and writing. Research by Azad indicated that grammar is as an essential and inseparable part in language teaching, so teachers have tended to use communicative activities in teaching grammar instruction in. It is meant that in teaching English as a foreign language, it is necessary to consider not only how learners acquire grammatical competence, but also how they learn to communicate. That is how they develop communication competence. In the importance of teaching English grammar as a foreign language, various methods and approaches have been applied to enhance learner competence. Savage, Bitterlin, and Price recapitulate 6 approaches that have a significant impact on grammar instruction, including grammar translation method, direct method, audio-lingual method, cognitive approach, natural approach, and communicative approach. Among them, the communicative approach, commonly called CLT, is one of the current trends of language teaching. According to Lopez and Agulo, the main intention of CLT is designed to teach communicative competence, which involve part of speech and tenses as a sentence construction. A teaching technique that refers to several aspects of language, include the use of language for multiple purpose and function, distinguish between formal and informal oral and written discourse. Based on the statement above, it can be concluded that grammar should be taught in communicative ways which focus on developing the language to perform the skills. Using CLT to teach grammar in the second language classroom is an effort to improve student attitude towards language learning and to have positive effect on their learning process. Emphasis placed on grammatical mistakes and fear of making grammar error has a negative impact on students. Those are related to the finding of a study conducted by Nurfakara. On his study, he revealed that students feel bored when learning English grammar because make them standardized program for foreign language teaching proposed a national syllabus which did not organize the syllabus in terms of grammatical structure, but rather define in what learners need to interact with each other. It means the focus of CLT is language learning through communication, not through mechanical presentation of grammatical form. The use of CLT in teaching grammar in the second language classroom is a means of changing the attitude of the student toward language learning and positively influencing their way of learning. Furthermore, Larson, Freeman, Richard, and Rodgers and Harmer describe the key principle of CLT approach that can be summarized as follows. Communication competence is the primary goal. Authentic material are used to encourage students to use the language. The language learning is learned by trial and error. Students mostly work in pairs. And small group grammar is best learned through the process of communication. Teachers have a role as facilitator and monitor, and students as a negotiator are individually responsible to make themselves understand and be understood in the process of communication. From the statement, it can be concluded that using CLT provides students in repetition, accuracy, and memorization grammar patterns, but they demand the student in order to negotiate meaning and connect meaningfully in varied contexts. Also, teacher will need to build exercise in meaning and connect meaningfully in varied contexts. Also, teacher will need to build exercise in the CLT classroom that enables students to learn well in target language. The changing of teaching culture from teacher-centered to student-centered caused by the CLT approach also brought a change the concept in how to teach. Moreover, distinguishes there are two primary kind of approach to teaching grammar in CLT: the shallow end approach and the deep end approach. The shallow end approach is taught grammar in a way that we can define as inductive, or it called as consequence raising. The latter, the deep end approach to CLT, concern the implicit learning of grammar in communicative contexts without any previous and explicit teaching. So teaching grammar in communicatively means how student need. Also, the application whether the teacher choose to teaching grammar in explicit or implicit ways, it will depend on teacher's perception and knowledge. For example, some teachers believe that teaching explicit grammar is helpful in CLT classroom, but in construct, a few of them do not think that is effective. Teacher belief has been expressed in grammar teaching activities, and their beliefs have been influenced by their experience. In the same way, according to the demo, teacher perception is defined as the process of opinion and understanding toward an object based on their experience. The adoption of CLT in Indonesia language teaching curriculum has gone through several change and development. State that the last curriculum in Indonesia, which usually called as curriculum 2013 or KE13, adopt CLT approach into its implementation. Not only that, the popularity of CLT keeps increasing as many teachers apply the concept of CLT in their classroom. From some previous related studies on learning English and CLT, a research study was conducted to find out student-teacher perception in teaching grammar instruction in communicative language teaching classroom. Based on the data analyzed by using thematic analysis, it was found teachers and student perception toward grammar instruction in communicative language teaching. The first, teacher perception in teaching grammar instruction in communicative language teaching classroom. The teacher think that provide student with explicit explanation was an effective way to teach grammar instruction in CLT classroom. In learning processes, teacher using group and pair work was designed to promote communication in CLT classroom. Teachers claim that in learning process, error correction was one of process student to mastering material, so correcting mistakes was an obligation for teacher. Teacher perceived that they should act as motivator in the teaching learning process and training student to take responsibility in develop their activities. In teaching grammar instruction in CLT classroom, students should not only mastering the theory but also practicing the theory. The second, student perception in learning grammar in communicative language teaching classroom. Students consider grammar as an important part in learning English, so they need to know and learning grammar. Students claim that learning grammar in CLT with group activities help them to learn and practice comfortable in learning. Student error has been considered helpful in achieving successful communicative competence, so students did not feel bad when the teacher correct their mistakes. Students perceive in learning processes Teachers should motivate students to more practice in using English language and explain material interestingly. Students argue that they should taking part on the process of learning and following the learning process well. This research only focus to find out the teacher and student perception in grammar instruction in communicative language teaching because the limitation of time. By knowing the teacher and student perception in teaching and learning grammar instruction in communicative language teaching because the limitation of time, we expect students consider grammar as an important part in learning English language. So this study can inspire students to increase their interest in learning grammar in CLT classroom. So it was better for students to start using the language communicatively at the grassroots level. We hope the teacher help the students to consider a better way in teaching grammar instruction in CLT classroom. The teacher should know what the student need in improving student skill. The teacher also should create an English environment in the class to promote communication in CLT classroom. Also, the teacher should act as motivator in the teaching learning process to increase student opportunity to practice English because in learning English language is not only mastering grammar but also to increase student opportunity to practice English language. Last, we hope that the present study can be useful for the next future researchers who are interested to active more information about teachers and student perception in grammar instruction in communicative language teaching. Okay, thank you so much for your listening, and the last from me was wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.